Most people wake up every day already expecting something to go wrong. This has become an invisible habit, an automatic way of living. They get out of bed already feeling that weight. It's as if something is about to collapse at any moment. They don't realize it, but they're always in a defensive stance. They expect betrayal, failure, loss, rejection, delays. They live as if the world is against them. And when something bad happens, it confirms the belief they already had. See, it's always like this for me. But what if everything changed now? What if, starting today, you began to live as if everything always works out? Not as a fantasy, not as a lie to yourself, but as a rational decision, a choice of focus, a new way to interpret everything that happens, even what seems like an obstacle. Living as if everything works out doesn't mean everything will happen exactly the way you want when you want it. It means that, regardless of what happens, you believe it's aligned with your growth, your strengthening, your building, and that way of thinking changes everything. Successful people aren't those who never go through hard times. They're the ones who've decided that even in hard times they're still moving forward. They don't need proof to believe the outcome will come. They believe first. They act first. And that's why the results show up. Because their focus is always on building, not on doubt, on certainty, not hesitation. Before continuing with the teachings, make sure you've already subscribed to the channel. But only do this if you believe you were born to enjoy the best this world has to offer. Write in the comments, "I am ready to prosper." That will help you solidify this new identity. Now think with me. How many times have you repeated phrases like, "Nothing works out for me," "Everything goes wrong," "My life is a struggle"? When you say that, even unintentionally, you're training your mind to look for flaws, obstacles, difficulties, and worse, you're training your body to move slower, your thoughts to be heavier, your actions to be more timid, and all of this creates exactly the reality you fear. It's not magic, it's focus, it's behavior, it's repetition. If you start living as if everything is working in your favor, even silence will take on a new meaning. Delay will seem like preparation. A no will seem like redirection. And what discourages you today will start to strengthen you. This is the kind of mindset that builds wealth. Do you want to get rich? Then that's where you need to start. You need to train your mind to see opportunity where others only see problems. You need to act with conviction, even when you don't have all the answers yet. You need to learn to speak differently, to think differently, to expect good things naturally, to live as if you were already rich, not in money yet, but in attitude. This isn't an illusion. This is mental training. It's repetition until it becomes automatic. It's deciding that from now on, your mind will no longer be a place of fear, but of practical faith, not mystical faith, but rational faith, a faith that moves. That builds, that acts even without proof, because those who wait for proof never act, and those who never act never build. Now say out loud, even if it feels strange, "Everything is working out for me." Say it again, but with more firmness. "Everything is working in my favor, even if I don't understand how yet." This is not just a pretty phrase, this is identity building. The more you repeat it, the more your brain starts to accept it. And when it accepts it, it cooperates. It starts to filter what you see, what you feel, what you do, and then the world starts to look different. Not because the world changed, but because you changed the way you position yourself in it. Those who live expecting defeat only recognize defeats. Those who live expecting victory see paths even in the middle of chaos. That's the difference between those who walk in fear and those who walk with determination. Between those who back down at the first sign of difficulty and those who understand that difficulty is part of the journey. You're not going to wait until you feel ready. You're going to act even while afraid. Speak clearly, even with doubt. Get up every day with the firmness of someone who's already decided what's going to happen. And that firmness will settle into your mind like a new code. It will replace the old script of scarcity with the new code of wealth. You can't keep living saying, "Let's see what happens." That kind of phrase is the trap of doubt. Replace it with, "It's going to work because I'm making it work." It doesn't matter if you're starting with no money, no support, no clarity. What matters is acting as if the building is already underway. Speak like someone who knows where they're going. Walk like someone who's already decided. Choose your thoughts like someone tending a garden, because that's what your mind is, fertile soil. Everything you repeat grows. If you repeat doubt, doubt grows. If you repeat conviction, conviction grows. And over time, you start thinking differently without even noticing. You start acting more calmly, making decisions with more confidence, trusting yourself more. And that's what creates the difference between those who are always trying and those who are always reaping. Now write in the comments, "My mind is becoming rich." Do that to reinforce this idea even more inside yourself. Every time you write it, you're reaffirming who you want to be. You'll notice that over time everything starts to change, not because the world changed, but because you changed the way you place yourself in the world. You started walking with practical faith, speaking with confidence, acting even without guarantees. And that's what separates those who are always trying from those who are always achieving. It all starts with the decision to act as if everything always works out. Not out of pride, not out of stubbornness, but out of intelligence, out of clarity, out of focus. Because those who behave like someone who's already won open up paths that fear would never allow them to see. Fear paralyzes, decision opens doors. And you don't need to wait to feel ready. You need to decide that you are ready. The feeling comes after the decision, not before. Those who wait to feel brave enough to act never move. Those who decide to act, even without courage, discover that courage is born in the movement. And if today you feel like life is standing still, it's because you're waiting for something that won't come on its own. Clarity comes along the journey. The answer appears when you start acting. Luck, as many call it, is just the result of persistence combined with conviction. And that conviction is built through repetition. Starting today, repeat every day. Everything is working out for me. Say it when you wake up, when you walk, when you go to sleep. Say it with your mouth, your thoughts, your body. Say it with your attitude, because when you truly believe it, your body changes, your energy changes, your decision-making changes, and the world responds. Act as if everything always works out, because that makes you lighter, firmer, more prepared, even when everything around you seems contrary. Because wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. And the mind only becomes rich with practice, with repetition, with firm decisions, with the actions of someone who's already understood that the external reality is a reflection of the internal reality. You don't need to explain anything to anyone. You don't need to convince others. You just need to train your mind until it obeys this new command. Everything is working in my favor. And then, little by little, you'll notice that things really do start to fall into place. Not because you're trying to force the world, but because you've aligned yourself with a new way of thinking. And this way of thinking is the basis of all wealth. There's a type of behavior that separates those who are always trying from those who are truly beginning to achieve. This behavior involves acting based on the certainty of the outcome, even when there are no visible signs. This seems simple, but it's not. Because most people live waiting for life to prove themselves before taking action. They wait to feel confident enough to act. They wait to have the money to get started. They wait to have the support to believe. But the problem is that this wait never ends. Because those who live waiting for guarantees remain stagnant. Living as if everything always works out is reversing this logic. It's deciding that the outcome is inevitable, even if nothing seems to indicate it today. It's making an internal decision so strong, so clear, that it begins to command your actions, your speech, your focus. And what happens? Reality begins to respond to this new direction. And it's not because the universe became magical. It's because you started acting with conviction. And conviction is more powerful than any circumstance. When someone starts to act, others certainly feel it. It doesn't matter if that person is still starting out, if they're still broken, if they're still making mistakes. What matters is their behavior, the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they look, because it conveys an energy that others can't explain. But respect. This is called presence. And presence comes from the firm decision that it will work out. Now think of someone you admire, someone who built something great. They could be a famous person or someone you know personally. This person, at some point, decided to walk with determination even when nothing was certain. And that's what made everything start to fall into place. Because the world responds to clarity. It responds to decision. It responds to the attitude of someone who isn't asking for permission, but already behaves like someone who belongs where they want to go. Do you want to get rich? Then you need to walk like someone who already understands this. You need to speak confidently. You need to make decisions firmly. You need to stop asking for a sign and start building as if the sign has already been given. Because when you start acting like this, Your mind understands there's no more room for doubt, and it starts to adapt. It starts seeking solutions. It starts giving you new answers. And the most incredible thing, it starts to ignore obstacles. The problem with most people is that they pay more attention to the obstacles than to the direction. Every time a difficulty appears, they stop. They think that, see, nothing works. But those who have already decided that everything works think differently. They think, this is just part of the process. It doesn't change the final destination. And they continue and persist and move forward. And that's why they succeed. You need to start treating difficulties as training, as part of strengthening, as natural stages. Because the truth is, everything that's making things difficult now is preparing you, making you clearer, stronger, more attentive, more deserving. And if you don't give up, this process will turn into a reward. Say out loud now, I act as if everything is already working out. Say it again. Even without proof, I walk with conviction. These words need to become part of your routine, because what you say, your mind hears. What you repeat, your mind accepts. And what it accepts, it begins to make reality. So watch your speech, watch your thoughts, watch your posture, because every word you blurt out without realizing it, every thought you let run wild, is shaping your life. There's no neutrality. It's either lifting you up or dragging you down. It's either empowering you or diminishing you. And here's a detail that almost no one notices. When you start living as if everything is going right, you become lighter. And this lightness attracts more opportunities. People want to be around someone with a firm but calm presence, someone who seems to know where they're going, even if they're still at the beginning. This energy is rare, and that's why it attracts. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to justify your dreams. You just need to walk with conviction and let your actions speak for you. Because when you start acting as if victory is certain, the world starts treating you like someone who deserves it, and everything starts to fall into place. But this doesn't happen overnight. It's repetition, it's practice, it's persistence. It's reminding yourself every day, everything is working in my favor, even if today seems confusing. This is the phrase you need to remember. Repeat, feel, live, because it changes your perspective. And when you change your perspective, you change your life. Now reflect. How many times have you sabotaged yourself because you missed the signs? How many opportunities have you let pass you by because you thought the timing wasn't right? How many doors have you not even knocked on because you thought they wouldn't open? All of this because you waited for security before acting. But now you know, security doesn't come first. It's a consequence of repeated action. You need to repeat the right behavior until it becomes a part of you, until the doubt fades, until your mind gets used to the idea that you're someone who lives as if everything always works out. And this new way of living will change your attitudes. It will change your routine, it will change your decisions, and it will change your results. Now write in the comments, my conviction is greater than my doubt. Do this not for me, but for yourself. Because writing is another way to reinforce what you're planting in your mind. And the more you plant, the more you reap. If today you still feel like you're far from living the life you want, that's okay. The important thing is that you've already started behaving like someone who will get there. And this behavior is what will shorten the path. Because those who walk with faith walk faster. Not mystical faith, but rational faith. Faith in the process. Faith in practice. Faith in yourself. You'll start acting as if everything is going right in every detail of your day. When you wake up, you'll stand up with poise. You'll dress like someone who has somewhere to go. You'll speak to people more confidently. You'll make decisions without dragging things out. You'll start what needs to be done without delay, and you'll finish with care, even if no one is watching. This new behavior will shock those around you. They'll ask what's changed. They'll feel the difference in your tone of voice, your walk, your presence. And you don't need to explain. Just keep going, because repetition will transform this into your identity. And your new identity will attract new situations, new people, new opportunities. It all starts with a decision. From this day forward, I act as if everything is going right. You no longer need to struggle with the past. You no longer need to explain away failures. You just need to decide that your focus is now on what's next. And what's next depends on how you act now. You may not have control over everything, but you do have control over how you think, speak, act, and react. And that's enough to completely change the direction of your life. Just repeat it. Just practice it. Just embrace this new pattern of behavior as your new normal. Act as if everything always works out, and the world will start treating you like someone who always works out. One of the biggest causes of silent failure is hesitation. A person has a deep desire, a sincere desire to improve their life, to have more money, to live more peacefully, but they can't move forward. They get stuck, overthinking, questioning everything. Time passes, the days repeat themselves, and before they know it, their life is the same or even worse. Not because they lacked opportunity, but because they never acted with certainty. Have you ever noticed how people who are certain move faster? They don't overthink. They don't sabotage themselves. They don't wait for the best moment. They just go. They take the lead. They execute, because they're not stuck in the will it work mindset, but rather anchored in the it already worked, I'm just finishing building. This kind of thinking isn't arrogance, it's positioning, and positioning is what changes the game. When you start acting as if everything always works out, your energy shifts. You stop walking slowly, dragging yourself along, hiding. You start taking up space more naturally. You start expressing your opinion more clearly. You start looking people in the eye, walking firmly, speaking with more force. This isn't fantasy, it's a consequence of the internal decision that the result is already mine. You can't keep living with your guard up. This way of living is costing you opportunities, connections, money, time. It's keeping you in the same place, repeating the same habits, reaping the same results. And all because you still believe you need to wait for proof before acting. But if you observe people who truly advance in life, they have something in common, a preemptive certainty. They live as if their destiny is already mapped out, and that's why everything starts to fall into place around them. Now imagine if for 90 days straight, you woke up with this firm thought, everything is working out for me. Imagine if for 90 days, you spoke like someone who'd already won. If you walked with the posture of someone building something great, if you treated each task as part of your wealth project, imagine what that would do to your mind, to your energy, to your ability to execute. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they live divided. Half their mind believes, the other half doubts. One day they wake up motivated. The next they sink into procrastination. One day they speak forcefully. The next they hide. And this instability keeps their lives stuck because nothing is built on doubt. Doubt can no longer rule your days. You need to eliminate this hesitation. And the way to do that is by repeating the right behavior. When you start repeating actions that align with someone who believes, your mind begins to believe too. It doesn't matter if it feels forced at first. Keep going. Because your identity isn't fixed. It's moldable, and you're the one who molds it. Say it out loud now. From this day forward, I act decisively. Say it again, but more firmly. My hesitation has died, and my conviction has been born. Feel the weight of these words, because if you repeat this often, you'll notice your thoughts begin to change. And when your thoughts change, your behavior changes. And when your behavior changes, your results change. This is the path to wealth building, acting with conviction before evidence. Waiting for evidence is the mistake of those who never move forward, because evidence only appears after consistent action. The world responds to those who move with strength, to those who act with clarity, to those who convey certainty without needing to explain. And this certainty is born of practice. It is born of discipline. It is born of the repetition of the behavior you want to become. You need to transform yourself before results arrive. You need to speak like someone who is already rich, think like someone who already lives in abundance, walk like someone who already leads a life of excellence, because it's this new behavior that will drive new results, not the other way around. People think that when everything improves, they'll change. But the world doesn't work that way. First, you change. Then the world changes to follow you. Now think, how's your language? Do you speak like someone who's winning, or like someone who's still asking for permission to live well? How do you behave in your daily life? Do you walk around with your head down? Do you speak with insecurity? Do you react with fear? Or have you begun to adopt the attitude of someone who knows they were born to thrive? All of this matters, because your language, your voice, your posture, your energy are shaping your reality. You can no longer live with a small mindset, one of scarcity, of doubt. You can no longer pretend everything is okay while living in fear. You need to decide, with all your strength, that from now on your life is one of growth, that your mind will become accustomed to wealth, that your speech will always be that of someone who has already conquered, and that your posture will reflect the firmness of someone who already knows what they are building. Now write in the comments, "My hesitation is dead." Do this as a symbolic act, a closure, a full stop to your old identity. From now on, you don't hesitate. You act, you decide, you execute, even with fear, even without approval, even without understanding everything, because those who wait to understand everything never get anywhere. But those who decide to act, even with doubts, end up finding the way. And every time you do this, your mind registers it. It creates new connections. It replaces old patterns. It reinforces your new identity. And this new identity begins to create a new reality. A reality where things move faster, where paths open up, where what once seemed difficult now begins to fall into place, because your energy has shifted. And when you change on the inside, everything changes on the outside. Remember, hesitation is the disguise of doubt, and doubt is the poison of wealth. Those who want to prosper must think like those who have already prospered. They must walk like those who have already conquered. They must speak like those who have already conquered. This isn't pretense, it's construction, it's mindset, it's alignment. And this alignment is practiced every day, with words, with actions, with decisions, with persistence, until you no longer need to force it. Until it becomes automatic, natural, part of who you are. And in that moment, the world responds. Money begins to circulate, ideas begin to flow, connections begin to emerge, because you have become someone who vibrates at the frequency of wealth. Act as if everything always works out, even when it seems like everything is falling apart, because this way of living protects you from fear, it shields you from doubt, and it keeps you moving forward, even when the path seems confusing. You've been stuck for too long. Now it's time to move forward. Don't wait for fear to go away, it won't. But you can grow until it becomes small, and it starts with a simple behavior, acting as if everything is already working out. There comes a point in your journey where the most important thing is no longer how much you want it, how much you dream, how much you repeat positive phrases. What really starts to make a difference is how much you act like someone who already understands, like someone who has already assumed a new identity, like someone who has stopped waiting and decided to make it happen, without depending on what others think, without waiting for the ideal moment, without asking for approval, because those who walk with this kind of certainty no longer need permission. They are permission itself. Many people live their entire lives waiting for a sign, a turning point, an external confirmation, as if something magical will suddenly happen and change everything. But that's not how it works. Change begins when you act differently, when you decide that the old way of living no longer serves you, when you stop responding to life with weakness and start responding with firmness. This is acting as if everything always works out. It's walking with a conviction that scares even problems away. And maybe you've heard all this so far and thought, but my reality hasn't changed yet. And I tell you clearly, it doesn't change with shouting, it changes with constancy. Your reality isn't waiting for you to wish harder. It's waiting for you to be firmer, more disciplined, more persistent. It's waiting for you to stop giving up easily, to stop sabotaging yourself, to stop telling the same stories from the past. How many times have you said to yourself, "It never works for me"? That phrase carries enormous weight. And every time you say it, even in your mind, you're reinforcing the wrong identity. But now you have a new command, a new foundation, a new behavior. Now you act like someone who's already decided it will work. And no matter the time, no matter the resistance, no matter the fatigue, because the decision has been made. Say this now. The decision is made. Say it again, out loud. I act as if I already have the result. These words aren't just sounds, they're mental codes. Each time you repeat them, you're programming your mind to stay focused on what you're building. And the more you repeat them, the stronger this identity becomes. Have you ever noticed that most people repeat their fears more intensely than their dreams? They spend their days talking about bills, problems, crises, and this becomes their reality. But you chose a different path. You chose to reprogram your mind to see growth where others only see scarcity, to see opportunity where others only see blockage, to see progress where others only see pain. And this choice requires repetition. It requires attention. It requires that you protect your mind like someone protecting fertile ground, because any seed that falls there will grow. So plant good things, plant strong words, plant images of victory, plant behaviors of wealth, and harvest, with patience and persistence, the reality that matches this new way of thinking. You're no longer the same person you were at the beginning. You've already gone through 49 phases, nurturing clarity, discipline, and mindset. You've started speaking differently, thinking differently, and acting differently. Now what's missing is no longer motivation. What's missing is the determination to keep going, the decision to keep your mind rich even when everything around you seems scarce. And this firmness is built every day, in the small details. It's when you get out of bed with poise, when you speak with presence, when you treat each commitment as part of your construction, when you say no to distraction and yes to discipline. Every action counts, every word shapes, every thought strengthens. From now on, your life is no longer a coincidence. It's a project of mental, emotional, and behavioral wealth, a project that begins within and will be reflected outside. No matter how long it takes, time is on your side, as long as you keep moving forward. And every time doubt returns, every time fear tries to paralyze you, you'll remember one thing: you've already decided it's going to work. There's no more room for hesitation, no more room for regret. There's only room for action, repetition, consistency. Now say firmly, without hesitation, I don't give up. I act as if everything is already working. My life is under constant construction. I act rich. I think like a prosperous person. I behave like someone who has already won. And this isn't just talk, it's attitude. It's what separates those who keep trying from those who start to reap. Your reaping mindset, and those who cultivate the right mindset end up attracting the right reality. You don't need to look back anymore. The past was school. Now it's construction. Now it's execution. Now it's living with the attitude of someone who knows the result is already guaranteed, even if it's not yet visible. Because you understand, acting as if everything always works out is the behavior that transforms any ordinary person into someone extraordinary. The difference isn't in the resources, it's in repeating the right attitude. And now you have that attitude. Never again say that nothing works. Never again talk as if life were a constant struggle. Never again walk as if you don't know where you're going. From now on, you walk like someone who already knows. You talk like someone who already has. You act like someone who has already conquered. Because when you make this decision firmly, the world has no choice. It must follow you, it must make way. It must bow before someone who no longer asks permission to thrive. Now it's your turn, in control, in direction, with clarity, with focus, with decision. Act as if everything always works out. Because with this behavior, you become someone who makes everything work out. If you want to continue listening to this type of content, click on the playlist I left on the screen. Until later.